Okay, so while the World Cup is going on and we've reached the knockout stages, I thought I would revisit a video series that I started at the beginning of the summer in full swing, although I had done club history videos in previous years, and that is the Football Club History series. Now, obviously the football season began again, the NRL season started winding down, obviously we had the Rugby League World Cup, and of course the Football World Cup has now started, so a lot of my attention has been diverted to other things, although the Club History series was a lot of fun to do. So we're revisiting it today, shall I say, with Partick Thistle, what I call the forgotten club of Glasgow, because obviously when we talk of football in Glasgow we talk of Rangers and Celtic and the old firm derby, and of course unfortunately with that comes the sectarian element, which we've seen in recent times as well rear its ugly head. Now, one thing about Partick Thistle, which I'm going to start with, is the club prides itself on being non-sectarian. So if you're from a Catholic or Protestant or Presbyterian background, or whatever background you're from, you are a fan, basically. There is no religious division or community division. If you're of Irish Scottish heritage or pure Scottish heritage from the border regions or Anglo-Scottish heritage, that division goes out the window. It is a we're all one club kind of thing. Now, the club is actually a very historical club. They go back to 1876, so they're older than a lot of the English Football League clubs south of the border. They have many nicknames, but I went with two of the nicknames to look at. They're called Thistle, obviously Partick Thistle, and the Jags. They currently play at the Firhill Stadium, which is not actually in the Partick area of Glasgow, it's in the Maryhill area of Glasgow, and they've been there since 1908. 10,102 is the current capacity. They moved out of the Partick area of Glasgow in 1908 to the Maryhill area of Glasgow, so there is some of the loss of that original community link there, although they are still playing in the Greater Glasgow area. They currently play in the Scottish Championship. They finished 4th last season. They were last in the Scottish Premiership in the 2017-2018 season. They've had many spells in the top flight. Their greatest hour came in a League Cup final against Celtic, which they won 4-1 back in the early 70s, and we'll get to that in their honours section. Now, I only focused on their major honours. I didn't focus on their lower league honours and such, and regional cup competitions. So they've only ever won 2 major trophies, which is a shame considering the history of the club. But some of their records are really interesting. Now, their overall appearance record and their league appearance record is held by Alan Rough, the former Scotland international keeper who played in the 78 and 82 World Cups. He clocked up 624 appearances in all competitions and 410 appearances in league competitions between 1969 and 1982. He was a very, very good goalkeeper for both club and country. Fantastic goalkeeper was Alan Rough. But there is obviously very famous footage of him being chipped by Zico in the 82 World Cup in Spain whilst playing for Scotland. That left him looking a little bit bemused and just generally all at sea. League goals in the season, Alex Hare holds the record with 41 in the 26-27 season. And the all-time goals record is held by Willie Sharp of 229 between 1939 and 1957, although you will have to note that in that period World War II breaks out and all league play is suspended very early on. So there may be some games played during the war years, but the majority of that would have happened after the Second World War, hence why his career was so long at the club. Now we get to their major honours. They won the Scottish Cup once in the 1920-21 season, so just after World War I, one of the first seasons that league play is resumed following the First World War, and they were runners-up in the 29-30 season. The Scottish League Cup win, where they defeated Celtic 4-1 in the final. A surprise underdog victory, probably their best day in their history, was in the 71-72 season. But they've also been runners-up in the Scottish League Cup 3 times in the 50s. They had a very good spell in the 50s where they could have won multiple trophies. They were runners-up in the 53-54 season, the 56-57 season, and the 58-59 season. So just imagine if they'd won those League Cup finals, how much more success the club could have possibly attained at that time. Now, Partick themselves have obviously played in the top flight, and they do consider Rangers and Celtic as rivals, although Rangers and Celtic don't really reciprocate that. They see them as the other club in Glasgow, who? But they also have rivalries against Clyde, Airdrieonians, Clydebank, Kilmarnock and Morton because of their longer spells in the lower leagues. And Kilmarnock and Morton more recently have become more fierce rivals because they played each other more regularly due to them not always being in the Scottish top flight. And as I say, the club does pride itself on being a non-sectarian club, which is a big thing in Scottish football and Scottish society. And in recent times, we have seen that sectarianism rear its ugly head with Rangers, Celtic, Hibs, Hearts, and Aberdeen, and Motherwell and Kilmarnock. We have seen it raise its ugly head. We've seen clubs being given massive fines, predominantly Rangers and Celtic, although Hibs and Hearts have also had their ugly scenes as well. And it is an ongoing discussion point in Scottish football and in Scottish society. We've seen some instances very recently at games this season before obviously league play was suspended for the World Cup. So it is an ongoing issue, and that is one of the things Partick prides itself on. Also, they are noted for their very ugly kits and their iconic mascot. My late friend John Morton, who I did the West Ham video for, he did actually have the season before last Partick kit, and I was going to get in this season's Partick kit, and unfortunately, obviously, he passed away before I could acquire the ugly jersey that is Partick's third kit. They are well known for some of their kit designs. They're red and orangey yellow kind of colours, which are very unique to Partick Thistle. They're very bright, colourful kits. And there we go. There's a brief history of Partick Thistle. I believe they are a club that does regularly get forgotten in the discussion when it comes to clubs in Glasgow. There's also Queen's Park as well, who are another club that I will do a history on. They have a very, very rich history to Queen's Park. They played in an FA Cup final. Yes, the English FA Cup did Queen's Park before obviously playing in the Scottish Cup final, which is an interesting one. So Partick Thistle and Queen's Park, they do get forgotten when it comes to other clubs in the Glasgow area because of the old firm of Rangers and Celtic. But there we go, there's a brief history on Partick Thistle Football Club. Obviously, there is more World Cup action today with more second round games taking place, but with only 2 games per day now for the rest of the tournament, excluding the third place playoff and the final, I might do a few more of these club history videos. They are great fun to do. I love researching them, and I love doing some of the lesser known clubs or the lesser successful clubs, those underdog clubs like Partick Thistle, who had their moment in 71-72, defeating Celtic 4-1 in the cup final. That will never get repeated ever again, I don't think, although stranger things have happened, and they currently sit in the Scottish Championship. They were 4th last season. Hopefully we see them back in the Scottish top flight sooner rather than later, because it adds a bit of flavour when you have, different clubs popping up and having a go. And they have got a rich history, and it is a shame they no longer play in the Partick area of Glasgow. They play in Maryhill, but there we go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you are a Partick Thistle fan, please place your thoughts in the comment section below, and of course I will have some more content for you very, very soon.